It's time for February's voted thematic list build. Thank you all for voicing your picks. It was fairly close, but it was a victory for the cold, calculating, and most bitter legion among the Chaos Space Marines. This one is for the Sons of Perturabo, the Masters of Siege Warfare, a thematic list build for the Iron Warriors. For those new, the goal of the thematic list build series is to create a 2K Strike Force sized list based around a theme related to the focused faction. And with that stated, let's take a look at the subfaction rules. The Chaos Space Marine subfaction rules are classified as Legion traits, and the Iron Warriors trait is Siege Lords. It offers two perks. The first is allows attacks made by your infantry, biker, and hellbrute models to deny targets the benefit of cover. The second perk lets you reroll failed wound rolls when those three types of units target a building, which is a rare case. Look, at the time of making this video, the Chaos Space Marine rules are old as shit. These dated rules and sheer neglect of rules management on GW's part is honestly god-awful. And for what? To leave the faction in such a state of neglect so you can sell those players rules which they feel will take them to an operable standard? What an abusive model for customers who bought your product and poured their time, effort, and passion into that faction. But I digress. Regarding the thematic objectives of the list, they are overwhelming firepower. It's fairly straightforward. Iron Warriors are siege specialists, and so this goal is to push that to the nth degree. Efficiency, which the Iron Warriors are associated with, and so the goal is to feature mechanics which push the math of the game's mechanics in their favor. Now, let's head over to the list breakdown. The list is structured into a patrol and a spearhead, which sets the initial command 2 units of Chaos Space Marines taken with bolt guns. The job of these standard Traitors Marines benefit from Death to the False Emperor to generate some extra hits. His 6-inch aura gives enemy vehicles and your demon engines a hit penalty and a hit bonus respectively. And defensively, he's tough, similar to the stock Disco Lord, though with 1 point worse armor save and 1 point better toughness. Offensively, their performance degrades as they lose wounds. A single Mauler Fiend has a base between 4 to 2 attacks, at strength 12 to 8, at AP 3 dealing 3 damage each, which is followed up by 6 additional Lasher Tendril attacks at strength 6 to 4 at AP 2 dealing 2 damage. While the Mauler Fiends only hit on 4s, the Ancient Tome of the Chaos Space Marines provides them the Demon Forge stratagem, which will allow one of them to reroll all failed hits and wounds when making those attacks. Those are the first wave. Following on the heels of the Mauler Fiends and Disco Lord are 2 Hellbrutes taken with Multi-Meltas and Power Scourges. This brings us to our fire base. Taking 3 heavy support slots are 3 Chaos Vindicators. Vindicators are pretty tough for a Rhino chassis vehicle, and their Demolisher cannons have big damage potential, but that's also the problem. A single Demolisher cannon has the damage potential from 1 to 36. And while it is a blast weapon, that is a rule which benefits targeting large squad units, and it often isn't suited to the Demolisher Cannon's high damage profile. Thankfully, the Iron Warriors have the 1 command point strat, Methodical Annihilation, which can help. I'd recommend rerolling quantity versus a target with invulnerable saves and rerolling damage versus those without. Fleshing out our fire support is a unit of Chain Gun Havocs marked Slaanesh to provide some anti-infantry fire. 2 command points to shoot again for being a Slaanesh unit is available should you need it. And transporting them is a Chaos Rhino. The Rhino transport will help these Havocs get their chain guns into range, but more importantly, it'll keep these high-value 1-wound Marines a little safer. Rounding out the list is a staple, 3 Obliterators marked Slaanesh. Uniquely, the Iron Warriors have a 1 command point Rampant Technovirus stratagem to reroll all 3 variables for their flesh metal guns. This is a huge boon, making Iron Warriors Obliterators far more reliable than those of other legions. And they are marked Slaanesh. So, at this point, why not drop down and instead of making 18 shooting attacks, why not do 36? And lastly, leading this list is a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. He is our Obliterator Lord, and is designed to work with them to a brutal efficiency. His Warlord trait Demon Smith allows the shooting attacks of Demon Engine or Obliterator units within 6 inches of him, which score hit rolls of 6 to score 2 hits instead of 1. And as a Lord of Chaos, he rerolls their hit rolls of 1. So 36 shots rerolling 1s, with hit rolls of 6 scoring 2 hits instead of 1. It is sickeningly good. He's also been given the relic suit of Bionics Insidium, giving him the demon keyword and increasing his strength, wounds, and attacks by 1. So bonus points if this guy here is kit bashed using an Obliterator as the base model. And that's the list. It comes to exactly 2,000 points and provides 8 command points after the Spearhead Detachment tax and the extra relic. For an old book, there's some real spice here, though much of that is leaning on the abuse of old rules and their interactions at the cost of thematic equivalency. But hey, that sounds like the kind of cold efficiency that the Iron Warriors would utilize. Be bitter, and ruthlessly utilize the tools you have for their maximum effect. That's a wrap on this one. Thanks for voicing your picks for this Iron Warriors thematic list build. And thanks for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons, Julius Maximus, as well as the others who help keep the dream alive. This was my Iron Warriors thematic list build. If you have any questions, comments, or requests, please feel free to drop them down below. And if you're an Iron Warriors player, I'd be curious to know how you're feeling with them in 9th edition. So, if you enjoyed this video, there is a like button. And if you want to help this channel grow, there is a subscribe button. There's also a bell button and a share button, so press the buttons you want to press. And with that, I will hope to see you guys in the next one.